investigator.
Hello, Pseudonymus.
So, I thought it was time we had a little chat. I read one of your reports back to the Neo High Committee, and I know that you've been having some difficulty adjusting here, especially with regard to what season it is. Yeah, would you care to elaborate a little bit on that section of the report where you said that the holiday season, or holidays in general, were asinine?
I fail to understand why we need to humor certain species in their beliefs in fictional characters and the worship thereof.
Yeah, well, first things first, I actually had this exact discussion with Dr. Bell a while back. The main point of the exercise is that with pantheistic solipsism, and the Authors Consortium, as you're aware, is monitoring all these universe lines, in some of these universe lines, these characters actually exist. Like, so people worshipping them is, at least they're promoting the pantheistic solipsism, even though they don't realize they're doing so.
So even in universes where they don't exist, we still need to not only accept but encourage?
Well, it's more along the lines of, you remember Article 7, right? The non-exposure directive? Do you remember how in the first 10 articles they keep talking about various ways of trying to, Article 7 says that, you try to get to people where they're at on their level? Well, part of that is we have to understand their cultures and be able to at least respect enough of their tradition and heritage that we can work from our perspective to their perspective. We need to be able to build a common bridge, and part of that is at least being somewhat accepting of where they are at in terms of their cultures. Respecting their heritage and their traditions.
Does that mean then that we need to also accept such traditions as ritual sacrifice?
No. I think more of what we're trying to get at is, well, one of the analogies that I remember working is, are you familiar at all with the Huron Carol?
Vaguely.
Okay, well, one of the things that the Jesuits did in a number of world lines is that when they came across the First Nations people of North America, they realized that trying to transfer their Christian story to the First Nations and their culture didn't work using the traditional frame of reference that they had, so they had to rewrite it for the frame of reference there. Now, I'm not saying that promoting of Christianity was a good thing, but what I am saying is that the ability to cross between cultures and find parallels to where the new culture is at is something that's going to be necessary if we're doing teaching of scientific or other cultural ideas from across the borders. I mean, you're familiar with the Joan of Arc protocol as well. We didn't reveal ourselves in full form. We only revealed ourselves as what was culturally expected by a Christian of the time period, and then offered strategic help in order to be able to preserve the French.
Then where do we draw the line?
Where we draw the line is when it starts crossing the lines to oppressing sentient life forms, or when the traditions are not able to, do not leave an opening for leading into scientific truth, as it is best known.
There are some areas that I believe the proper term is a gray area.
Yes, exactly. This is one of those gray areas. As long as it's not oppressive of another sentient life form, and doesn't violate Article 1, in their respect and their in their actual personal consent, then it's okay, because at least for a little while, to work with the tradition until such time as we can find a way to ease them out of it.
I was bringing up gray areas because how do we determine what beliefs and traditions may be oppressive and which ones are alright to use for our purposes? And furthermore, how do we determine, in using beliefs and traditions for our own purposes, how do we determine when that use may be oppressive in and of itself?
Well, that's a very good question. Personally, the way that I've always wound up working it, with regards to others, is that as part of our understanding of the ongoing ever-evolving theory of everything, we at least document. We at least go in as students to try to understand what the cultures are and what their traditions are to start off with. And then at a later point, if we don't see a, but we don't directly go in and beat them over the head and say your traditions are wrong because of the fact of how many, how many cultures have done that. What we need to do is we need to find a commonality as to where the parallels are that match to their empirical reality, and from that, it help try to expand their worldview to an even greater empirical reality. Leave them hints to follow. And, trying to find the language and metaphor of that culture to speak is one of the greatest tasks any observer will ever have to face. I'm thinking it might not be a bad idea that maybe we try a practical expression of this. Travel to a couple of universe lines or to different events around the multiverse. Look at the holiday traditions as they are, and then you can make your observations accordingly. Thoughts?
I suppose that might help.
All right. Well, tell you what. How about I make some call arounds and see whether or not we can get a concept as to what these traditions are for. Because they do serve functional roles in society as well, and there might even be some people we can talk to on this. So yeah, what do you say? We'll go and head out and see what we can find.
That sounds like a good idea. Now, as to the functional role of having a plastic tree in our library.
Yeah, that's more for Dr. Bell and a few others. That's, there are a few who celebrate Christmas here and other traditions, so I figure by at least having this here, we can at least show some respect. At least show that we are open to celebrating other cultures with them in the process. I figured Dr. Bell's in his lab, etc. So we've even got a few books under the tree. I mean, that can't be considered bad.
I suppose any excuse to give the gift of knowledge to another.
Yeah. Well, like I said, so tell you what, I'm going to go back to the central computer room. We'll take a look at some potential areas, and tell you what, we'll hop with the next wormhole over and see what comes. All right. I'll be back for my cloak in a little bit, of course. All right. Oh, and we could always see what Sigma thinks.
I believe that one's Phi.
Oops. I always have to remember to watch the callers with those two. Phi? Thoughts? Well, she gave a look back, but I guess she's not up to talking right now.
I suppose not.
Alright, well, fair enough. Like I said, I'll hit the central computer room and see what we can...
I think she's busy watching the kids play outside.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, let's, I'll go talk and see what we can come up with. Alright? Shh. While the investigator is getting dressed, I thought I'd show a little Christmas magic. Let's see. We'll take this blue one off the tree, and we'll take it and put it in the bag. Alaboom alakazim. It turns into a silver one, and as you can see, the bag is empty. I don't know. Maybe it's Christmas magic. I'm sure we'll figure out something better for Christmas magic in a little bit. First, I'm gonna try to put this guy on the tree. Put him back on the tree where a different spot. And yeah, stay tuned for more of the Observer Report Solstice or Christmas Special. All right, investigator. Sorry, I probably should be calling you by your name, Violetta, but I know you keep insisting I call you investigator. Or I know formality dictates. I keep calling you investigator. So.
Well, while we're on the world line, I suppose Violetta would be the name that you should call me by.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I have gone through the computer room, and I've even had a couple of our contacts post on some of these issues regarding the holidays. here's what's, I only got one response back, but this is something that I think that might be worth looking into. We celebrate because this is the darkest time of the year, and we can't help celebrating either in respect or gleeful defiance of the darkness. We adorn everything with lights and huddle together in front of fires or giant displays of food in togetherness rituals.
That makes sense for areas where it is cold this time of year.
Yeah, but of course it still remains as to why we're it still remains as to why the it still remains a question as to why the other elements of the holidays are still being respected and celebrated. Well, I'll tell you what, since they're talking about adorning of lights and stuff, why don't we just hop to the nearest world line that happens to be available, and just document what happens and see what our thoughts are afterwards.
Perhaps.
All right. Well, onwards and upwards. Let's see where we end up. We recording?
Yes.
So, I thought that for the Christmas special, it might do to actually do something akin to a Christmas miracle. Picture this story. Two strangers, completely alone on Christmas Eve, are walking down the street because they have nothing better to do, yet they happen to meet. We'll call them Mr. Red and Mr. Blue. Well, the thing, of course, is, though, is that, the odds of actually them, of these two strangers meeting is astronomical anyway. But the odds that two complete random strangers who are completely alone on for the solstice or Christmas holidays would become fast friends is, again, highly unlikely. But I think we can make it work. So, say, for example, we take Mr. Red's, take, for example, we take Mr. Red here. He's completely randomly jumbled in his thought patterns. And the same so, if I can get if we can expose his mind. The same so with Mr. Blue. But here's the thing. Mr. Red and Mr. Blue decide to see whether or not they're compatible. So they come up with an idea. They both decide to think of a playing card, just hypothetically off the top of their heads. And in order to do this, we're going to make this truly random, because of the fact that, like the strangers, they've never met before, so it would be completely random as to what their thoughts are. Every deck has 54 cards if you include the jokers and count the jokers as different. So we're going to need 9 dice to represent all 54 possible cards. And we're going to use a d10 here to symbolize how many dice we're going to roll. That's a 3, so we're going to roll 3 d6s. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to roll 3 d6s here. And that adds up to 6 plus 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. So we're going to count down to the 10th card in each deck and switch them over just to represent the thought patterns of each card. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's Mr. Red's card. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is Mr. Blue's card. So Mr. Red goes here, Mr. Blue goes here, and they go back into the decks and are completely randomly shuffled. Anyway, the thing, of course, is, though, is that Mr. Red and Mr. Blue get to talking, and they've all thought of their secret cards, just for a little bit, and see if whether or not, from talking about it, they could get a little bit of an inference as to what each other's card is. Mr. Blue says to Mr. Red, what are the actual odds that both of us would think of the same card? And Mr. Red says, well, I don't know. Mr. Blue says, well, the odds of thinking of any one particular card are 1 in 54, if you count both jokers. So the odds of us thinking of the exact same card are 1 in 54 squared, or 1 in 2,916. A completely unlikely coincidence, right? But remember, you thought of a card and I thought of a card? Well, let's make it quite clear to see what each other's cards are. We locate Mr. Blue's card. We locate Mr. Red's card. And the thing, of course, is that, like I said, it should be a complete fluke that they would match at all. But despite all odds, they both match and wind up being the 6 of spades. It's a Christmas miracle, and the two remain lifelong friends. So, let's see, we witnessed a robbery. We witnessed a lot of crass commercialism. A group of security decided to stop a group who were trying to promote the Christmas spirit.
Who already had permission from the mall owners, but because the marketing administrator had forgotten to leave a little piece of paper out for the security administrator, the group is now going to be banned for performing.
Oh joy! What did I miss? What else could have possibly gone here to kill the seasonal spirit? You know, investigator, I'm beginning to think you're right. Maybe this whole respective holidays thing is a little bit what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, if the people that were supposed to be studying can't even respect their own culture, then again, maybe that's all the more reason to promote their own culture.
Yeah, just at least...
What I witnessed in the mall just now, I may have my own opinions about the holidays themselves, but that was blatant aggression.
Yeah, well, welcome to the way that things are handled for holiday season.
Well, some of the people involved in the performing group said that they might be willing to do interviews tomorrow, so perhaps we should take them up on the offer.
Yeah, let's stick around the world line for a little while longer, see what we can come up with. Maybe the Neo High Committee will find some way of addressing problems like this in future.
Perhaps.
Oh well, I guess we're gonna have to find accommodations for the night. Or we could return to Safe Haven and come back tomorrow.
We could return to Safe Haven and come back. Or I have a lead on another one of ours that may be willing to put us up tonight.
That'll work. That'll work. I am really not happy with this.
This is downright depressing.
You're telling me. You're telling me. So Doug, you were saying that you had a rather unique message for this particular Christmas season.
Well, I don't know if I am learned enough in the way of Christ to be worthy of hearing if I give a sermon, but I'm going to give it my best shot anyway. It seems to me that the fundamental theorem of Christianity, calculus has its fundamental theorem, and I think Christianity does too, and that fundamental theorem is the summary of the law that Jesus made in the Sermon on the Mount. He said, love the Lord with all thy heart, mind, soul, and strength. He said, love your neighbor as yourself. He pointed out that all the law and the prophets hang on those two commandments. Then, by his words and deeds, in the course of his ministry, he made it absolutely clear that the kingdom of God is for those who are marginalized by the kingdoms of this world. He made it clear that the Lord cares as much for a homeless person as he does for a CEO, possibly more so. And he made it clear by being the model of what a Christian is supposed to do about it. A Christian isn't violent. Jesus said, "Put up thy sword, for he who lives by the sword will die by the sword." But a Christian is no coward. A Christian speaks truth to power, even if it gets him killed, even if it gets him tortured, or her. And in this age, where our political and business elites seem to have joined in an unholy alliance to poison God's planet and to force the human race into a suicide pact, it may be time once again for those who profess the Christian faith to put their money where their mouth is, and if necessary to go all the way up the road to martyrdom, to make our words count. What did Christ say? Oh yeah, take up your cross and follow me. Something like that anyway. I never claimed to be the best Christian around, and I hope and pray that if the duty of martyrdom should come my way, God will grant me the courage and fortitude to do my duty. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right. Okay, so investigator, what have we got for this time?
I'm not sure yet. Apparently the contacts have sent us a holiday gift.
Yeah. Well, it'll definitely be interesting to see how the heck their world line managed to get transdimensional post, so we were able to get this. Is beyond me.
Apparently Izumi helped.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. All right, so this is the box.
This is the box.
And what's inside the box? Cards Against Humanity.
A party game for horrible people.
Oh joy. I've heard of this game. This is going to be fun.
They have terrible senses of humor.
Yep. And what else did we get?
The 90s Nostalgia Pack.
Yep.
I don't know why. I wasn't. And, oh, that'll be interesting though.
Science pack. Wait, is that a gorilla with a robot head on top?
I believe it is.
All right, so that's that.
Actually, even I find that funny.
Yeah, I suppose. And leftover packing. Well, when the cats come by to visit, I'm sure they can make use of those.
I'm told that Sigma enjoys eating them, so perhaps it would be a good idea to dispose of them before
The cat.
the cats arrive.
So yeah. So if memory serves, this game is basically a bunch of black cards and a bunch of white cards, and you have to win the black cards by playing white cards.
Something along those lines.
Well, I guess we'll leave it there.
Oh, you got it.
Good parcels.
Good parcels? What am I missing?
To stay, and they stayed this time.
Nice. Well, the tree's looking pretty good. Isn't it weird how our particular Christmas tree and environment almost seems to match the Safe Haven Library word for word?
It's not too strange. We're pretty similar folks after all.
Yeah, fair enough,
Of
I
course,
suppose.
unfortunately, unlike the investigator Violetta, I have to dye my hair purple.
Oh yeah, there is that. So, what have we got under the tree this year?
Books.
Well, we can't hurt. Giving the gift of knowledge can't hurt.
Not enough of that in the world.
Oh God, yes. Lord knows. So, just out of curiosity, since Pseudonymus was looking for something to prove the holidays or what have you, what does Christmas mean to you, or the holidays mean to you? Why not tell us a couple of stories of your Christmases?
holidays for me mostly signals, like, I know that the winter solstice is actually technically the beginning of winter, but for me it more feels like the middle of winter, because as the days start getting longer again, the winter depression starts to lift, and that's always a good thing. And then, of course, there's the whole thing of constantly getting comments wherever I go about, oh, today's your birthday? What's it like having a birthday 2 days before Christmas? And I'm just like, fuck you. Fuck you right up the ass with the cactus.
Yeah.
Which is probably not very nice of me, but I get tired of hearing that question.
Which reminds me, is it okay if we put your birthday stuff in the Christmas special? I mean, if we send it to Pseudonymus and he can use it?
Might as well.
All right, fair enough.
And since Pseudonymus asked for this, I suppose we can include this in the Christmas special too.
Include what?
Setting up the tree and...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he kind of got hit hard after that whole fiasco with the mall, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, the good news is, though, at least we can say this for people. The good news is that the incident that happened, no one got banned from the mall after all. Security decided to have a change of heart and get the Christmas spirit after all.
Mm-hmm. From what I hear, though, Violetta still wants to interview some of the people who were involved in that, so
yeah,
we'll see what we can do with arranging that.
Yeah, well, considering this is supposed to be aired on Christmas Day, we've got not much time left.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
Well, I don't know if we'll be able to. I said we'd see what we could do.
With regards to the interviews?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and besides, the interviews just might not make it into this special. They might be private interviews for files in the central with the Neo High Committee.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, so impressed with the tree thus far? Let's actually go over the tree since we have a mirror identical to the Safe Haven one. In the tree this year we have the TARDIS. I would call it something very vulgar, but that's not appropriate.
And
Okay.
we have the TARDIS surrounded by angels.
Yeah.
Which is not ominous at all.
Yeah, for those who are Doctor Who fans. Random baubles.
Random bubbles. Snowflakes, because snowflakes. I couldn't get stars.
Yeah, well,
and silver and white ribbon.
Actually, I got a question.
Yeah?
Is each of these snowflakes its own special snowflake?
Well, a couple of them are a little bit broken.
Nice. Nice.
I'm serious, too. I think we cat-nommed this one.
Oh, jeez.
And we've got a silver star out in the shed that I'm going to go get to put on top of it.
Yep.
Since we couldn't get the TARDIS on top of the tree. But then again, it never really lands where it's expected, does it?
Nope, crashing into the tree is entirely appropriate. All right, well, at least we have our tree for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I would show the rest of the mess in the living room to show what Christmas preparation actually looks like. Well, isn't it like any great magic trick? You know, there's a lot of dirty prep work that has to be done and clean up before the whole
Don't blame this on prep work. Our house is always dirty.
No, I know that, but I meant like, this particular round of it is always prep work.
Mm.
But yeah, anyway, at least it gives us something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
I know neither of us celebrates this season properly, but well, when I say properly, I mean the traditional way. But I'll still say it anyway. Merry Christmas, babe.
Merry Christmas.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you too.
So what's it like to have... No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
You're so lucky I can't get off the floor as fast as I used to.
Yeah, I'm going to back away slowly now. Happy birthday, baby. One day you'll watch this and hopefully laugh at this time period.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, if we're still together by then, which I suspect we will be.
I suspect we will be.
Yep, I love you.
I'm 27. I don't have time to find another partner.
Yeah, you're right. You're going to have to settle for me. All right. Well, let's cut for now and have you digging into your waffle in a second. Okay, so let's grab the first bite of you taking into your waffle. Whoa. If you're taking into your waffle.
Your camera into yours.
Yeah, I know.
Yours has whipped cream on it.
I know, that would have been awkward.
Yeah, I want to start with this. Mexican sunrise waffle.
Yep. Is it any good? Mm-hmm. Was this a good idea for me to take you here for your birthday? Mm-hmm. Happy birthday, babe. Love you. This is Fat Man centering his key.